How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball. Welcome back to another round of Premier League predictions where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. The scores on the doors at the moment are 285 to myself, 279 to Sim. And the way the scoring works, 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for correct result. And at the end of the episode, we pick a star man. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's get into the weekend's predictions. Starting off 12:30 kickoff at the Etihad. It's Manchester City against Everton. I've gone for 3-0 to Man City. Sim's only gone for 2-0 to Man City. And why is that?
We know Everton, how they like to set up. They're going to be very strong at the back. They're probably going to play 5 at the back against Man City. I think they're going to try and frustrate them. I saw them play Man City at Goodison Park, and they gave them a really good game, at least for like an hour before Man City took control of that. And I do see them trying to frustrate City. I obviously see City having too much for them at the end of the day, but I've only gone for 2-0. I don't think it's going to be an absolute battering, but I do think Man City will dominate. They'll try and break them down, and I think their quality will tell in the end. So I've only gone for 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, Everton are resolute, and I think it will be a struggle for maybe Man City early doors. But I do think once the goal comes, I think the goals will flow, because I think Man City are playing sublime stuff at the moment. They just look unbeatable. They look invincible right now since they started this winning run. And they're just battering everyone in their path right now. That's just the reality of it. And this is just second half of the season, Man City all over again. It's like clockwork, isn't it? Because like it gets to this stage of the season and they just breeze past everyone in their path. And I think it's going to be another one of those this weekend. So I've gone for 3-0. Sim's gone for 2-0. Let's move on to Craven Cottage. Fulham against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Bournemouth. I've gone for 1-1 here. Both these teams not really on their best of form. I mean, Bournemouth are playing better than Fulham at the moment, 100%, but at Craven Cottage, in that small pitch, albeit the Vitality is also a small pitch, I feel like the points can be shared here. Fulham need to do something to get back to winning ways or get back to bringing a point on the board, because they went out both cups in the past month, and since then they've struggling to pick up points in the Premier League. And Bournemouth, on the other hand, as well, haven't really, I think they've got 2 draws, isn't it, in their last 2 games. And I just feel like both teams are going to come with a bit of a point to prove. I think Bournemouth will have the majority of the possession and trying to break down Fulham, but I just can't really split these two.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth are really going to obviously take the game to Fulham, knowing that they're pretty comfortable in mid-table. They're not going to suffer relegation, so they're not desperate for the point in terms of, I don't see them sitting back and like fighting for a point here. I think they're really going to go at Fulham, and I think Fulham won't like it. I think Bournemouth are going to disrupt their Fulham's build-up. I think Fulham like it when teams are kind of in a halfway house, and I think Bournemouth, they haven't won in 4 games, haven't won since that Spurs game actually at the back end of 2023, and I think they're due a win. I do think they're better than Fulham in terms of the way they play. They're better attacking football. I'm sure Fulham will have their moments, but I think with Solanke up front, I just like the front three of Bournemouth a lot more, so I'm going to bank. I think Fulham will go for the win. I think that'll suit Bournemouth, so I'm going to go for 2-1 to Bournemouth.
Next up, we go to Anfield. It's Liverpool against Burnley. Both gone for the exact same scoreline here in 4-1 to Liverpool. And I mean, you'll be a madman to bet against Liverpool in this one, to be honest. And after that shocking performance at the Emirates, you really do expect a Liverpool backlash at the hands of Burnley, don't you?
Definitely. And obviously the last game at Anfield, they battered Chelsea 4-1, a real energetic performance. And I expect that kind of energy going into this game as well. Even though they've still got no Mo Salah, and it was confirmed today, Thiago, after a 20-minute cameo, is apparently set for another spell on the sideline. So that'll be a bit of a blow for them, but I'm sure that they're going to come up against a Burnley team who we know just aren't the best offensively. They're at their best when they're kind of going at teams, and they're not going to be able to do that at Anfield, because Liverpool are going to suffocate them, they're going to pen them back, and they've got the quality to absolutely make it tell. So maybe Burnley might get 1 goal against a run of play, but I can't see them holding out Liverpool here. I think it's going to be a rout, so 4-1.
Yeah, completely agree. And I fear for Burnley this weekend, because they're going to feel the whole wrath of Liverpool. Kind of like when they have a bad performance, you just get that angry performance in the next game. And I feel like that's going to come, and especially at Anfield. I said a couple of weeks ago when Klopp announced that he was leaving at the end of the season, I fear for anyone going to Anfield this season from now until the end, because I just feel like the atmosphere is just going to be so behind Klopp and the team that I don't think anyone is winning at Anfield from now until the end of the season, or even getting a draw, to be honest. I think Liverpool win every single one, and by quite some margin as well. And when you look at the way Burnley play, they're just going to get eaten alive, in my opinion, this weekend. But let's go on to Luton against Sheffield United. Sim's gone for 2-1. I've gone for 2-0. Luton have been fairly resolute at home of recent weeks. They're not really conceding that many goals. Sheffield United, I mean, you really fear for them this season from now until the end, because they look like they're sleepwalking towards relegation. 10 points? How many points they picked up this season?
10, and they're 10 behind Luton, and Luton have a game in hand. Yeah,
exactly. So I think it's inevitable that they're going to be going down this season with a bit of a whimper as well. The new manager has come in, the old manager and the new manager has come in, and he hasn't really changed much. To be fair, Ben Berrington Diaz, 2 goals in 3 games, I think it is for him, but I don't think that's going to change the course of this game. Luton have been really impressive in the last couple of weeks. What a job Edwards is doing there. And I see them keeping a clean sheet, and I see them winning quite convincingly.
Yeah, to be fair, I do think Luton prefer being kind of a team on the counter-attack, going to be the underdog, and in this game they're going to be the favourites. It's going to be interesting to see how they react. Obviously they've done really well against the big teams when they come to Kenilworth Road, really given a good performance, but this game is going to be a bit different. They're going to be asked to dominate the ball, kind of break Sheffield United down. Sheffield United are going to be playing on the counter-attack a bit more. They're going to be relying on set pieces as well, and that kind of works when you're working in a small pitch like Kenilworth Road. So I do expect some joy for Sheffield United, but I just think Luton are better at doing what Sheffield United do than Sheffield United are, so I think they're going to come out on top. So I've gone for 2-1, and I reckon Adebayo is in good form at the moment. I wouldn't back against him scoring, and Ross Barkley as well. What a season he's having.
Absolutely, I completely agree about Adebayo, that's for sure. But let's move on to Tottenham against Brighton. Sim's gone for 5-2 to Tottenham in this one. I've gone for 3-1, but 5-2. Explain yourself. Is this the return of Heung-min Son?
I think goals in this game. You saw how open it was when we played them at the Amex, and in that game, obviously, we got done. A large factor due to the fact that we had a lot of very mismatched team. I think Emerson and Davis were playing. I think Højbjerg was playing in midfield as well back then, and we definitely struggled in that game to really impact things. And obviously, we did have a bit of a late rally at 4-0 down. We nearly got it back. Had chances at 4-2 to make it 4-3, maybe even 4-4. We didn't take them. So I think this time it's going to be a different kettle of fish. We're going to have our first choice defence back, so we should be able to stem the tide from Brighton a bit better. Hopefully we have players in midfield a lot more likely to hurt Brighton as well. I think we didn't have a number 10. I think Lo Celso was starting on the bench that game as well, so we didn't even have him on the pitch. So we definitely struggled in that game, but we got players back in this one. I know Brighton only have one way of playing, and I know they're going to want us to press them, but I think they're not going to like our press. I think we're going to be super aggressive. We want a bit of a reaction to that last-minute goal against Everton as well. I don't know if Son will start, but I can see him coming off the bench and running right as well, causing a lot of problems for Brighton. And we need that good feeling back after a poor result last week. So I think it's going to be an exciting game, exciting performance, and I just see it being very, very open for both teams. And I've gone for 5-2.
Yeah, so Q-0-0 this weekend.
Yeah.
Spurs Brighton, but look, it very much depends which Brighton turn up. You look at their last 2 away games: a 4-0 loss at Kenilworth Road against Luton, and then a 5-2 win at Bramall Lane against Sheffield United. Brighton have been very up and down this season in terms of trying to play their football and implementing their style of play. And I got a feeling the Spurs team are going to want revenge for the last game against Brighton, where we just got torn apart at times in that game. And when you're looking at it, the team is getting back to full fitness now, full strength. Sonny, Bissouma going to be probably in the squad this weekend. I don't know if either of them are going to start, but what options it is for have both of them off the bench to change the course of the action of the game. So I do think even without Sonny and without Bissouma, we've got enough quality to win this game. I do believe that, but I think that is an extra kind of added incentive from the bench as well to change things. So I do believe we're going to win, and I'm going to go for 3-1 to Tottenham, and we're going to be there this weekend. So very much looking forward to an open and attacking game of football. But let's move on to Molineux. It's Wolves against Brentford. I've gone for 2-1 to Wolves here. Been really impressed with Wolves this season. Not the greatest performance against Manchester United, but rallied late and got back into the game, all for Kobe Mainu to snatch that last gasp victory. And then they were really impressive against Chelsea, absolutely battering them. So I can see them at Molineux, where they're playing some really decent stuff this year, beating a Brentford side who have been really poor on the road this season. So I've gone for 2-1.
Yeah, I think both teams like to play at three at the back. So I think Wolves don't really like to play against teams who kind of sit back and soak up pressure and are good at set pieces. They like players being open. They like teams being open and expansive, and so they can hit them with Neto in behind and Cunha as well, who's in great form. I don't think Brentford are going to allow them that kind of space, and I also think the formation matchup will lead to kind of a close game, kind of a game where there's not many chances, I think, between both sides. So I see both sides cancel each other out. So I've gone for 1-1 here.
Yeah, Pedro Neto, I think, going to be the difference in this game, though. I mean, he's come back from injury just better than ever once again. And he seems to do this time and time again. Every time he comes back from injury, he's better than the time before.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable winger. One of the most underrated wingers. I think he should be definitely a top 6 team. But I reckon Tony will step up as well. So I'm going for 1-1.
Yeah. Newcastle away at Nottingham Forest up next. Sim's gone for 2-2. And I nearly went for 2-2 as well, and I just sided with Newcastle for 2-1.
Yeah, I think Newcastle is a weird one. Even though they've got their first choice defenders back, they're still very open at the back. Conceded 4 goals at home to Luton last week, which is evidence of their struggles at the moment. Nuno at the moment up for Nottingham Forest. They're doing okay. They're playing well, and I think Elanga's back now. Obviously, Awioni has been scoring a few goals. Morgan Gibbs-White is still playing well, although he might have an injury, but I think if he plays, I know they're going to give Newcastle the possession. They're going to give them the impetus, and it's going to be on Forest to kind of counter-attack them. They did it brilliantly at St James's Park when Chris Wood scored a hat-trick. It would be interesting. I guess Chris Wood probably won't start this game given the form of Awioni, but I think Newcastle have definitely been getting better attacking wise as well, so I definitely see them causing Forest some problems and being able to break them down. But I just think Forest will be able to cause too many problems going the other way as well with their forward line back fit. So I've gone for a 2-2 here at the City Ground.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by Nottingham Forest at all, to be honest. I think a bit similar to the way he started at Spurs, Nuno. You know, he had a really good start, getting a few wins on the board, and now it's just kind of reverted back to type for Nottingham Forest. And they've been taken the distance by so many teams in the lower leagues. Again, on the during the midweek in the FA Cup replay with Bristol, they got taken all the way down to penalties, which was a taxing game for them. Newcastle, on the other hand, I feel like things are starting slowly to change. They got a decent win away at Villa Park. The 4-4 draw at Luton was just an absolutely mental game. They went away to Fulham in the Cup as well and won at Craven Cottage. So I got a feeling there will be goals in this game, but I just feel like with the quality that Newcastle have is a lot more than the quality that Nottingham Forest have. So I see goals in this game, but I feel like Newcastle will take the 3 points at the end of the day. So I've gone for 2-1. We'll go over to the London Stadium in a London derby, West Ham against Arsenal. I have gone for 1-1 here. Arsenal have already lost twice to West Ham this season. It might be more hope than actual using my brain and what can actually happen, because Arsenal looked really good against Liverpool. But I just got a feeling that West Ham have the attributes to really frustrate Arsenal, and with the players that they have on the break, like Jarrah Bowen and Mohamed Kudus, could really stand West Ham in good stead here. But look, I know Arsenal were absolutely brilliant against Liverpool, but I'm just hoping they get brought back down to earth a little bit by a rigid West Ham side.
Yeah, and I see West Ham making it very difficult for them. We know how West Ham like to play, and they're going to try and restrict Arsenal in the space. They're going to try and make sure Saka and Martinelli aren't getting the same spaces that they did get against Liverpool. And I think they'll get some joy from that. But I just think going forward, you need more threat. And they're obviously relying very heavily on Bowen and Kudus, who are 2 very good players. But without Paquetá to kind of glue that attack together, I do see them struggling sustaining attacks. I do think Arsenal are going to be able to win the ball back a bit too easily. I do see them maybe getting 1 goal, but I do think Arsenal are going to ride the wave of 3 consecutive wins off the back of when they lost 2 in a row. They now seem to be getting into really good form, and I don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think it's going to be utterly convincing. I don't think Arsenal will be that great away from home this season, but I think they will scrape it. So I've gone for 2-1 to Arsenal.
Yeah, it's also worth noting Ward-Prowse from set pieces as well, which is always a massive threat, especially with the aerial ability that they do have. So, come on, West Ham, do us a favour this weekend. But let's move on to Villa Park. Aston Villa against Manchester United. 2-2 is the verdict from both of us in this game, and don't know, something just doesn't seem right with Villa at the moment in terms of the way they started this season. They are maybe it's just reverting back to type, reverting to their true level. Manchester United, on the other hand, seem to be turning the screw the other way and bringing back their form, or bringing form to this season. They're looking fairly good, but I feel like at Villa Park, where Villa have been really good all season, but you are seeing the cracks start to appear with Aston Villa at the moment. A terrible performance against Chelsea in the FA Cup last night, and I feel like they could take a bit of that form into this game against Man United, but we have taken it to 2-2.
Yeah, ever since Villa beat City and Arsenal in consecutive games, they've drawn against Sheffield United. They needed a 90th minute penalty to beat Burnley. They've lost at home to Newcastle, and now they've lost at home to Chelsea as well in convincing manner, conceding lots of goals. So maybe they're starting to be found out a bit. Maybe their standards at home is starting to slip. I feel the cracks are maybe starting to show. I think United as well will kind of like this kind of game, more of a transitional game. In terms of Villa playing a very high line, they like to have high turnovers in midfield, but they like to that United will look to turn over the ball and exploit that space that Villa are going to leave. Without Pau Torres or Tyrone Mings, with Clement Lenglet at the back as well, that high line is getting destroyed at the moment, to be honest, and they're struggling a lot. I do see Man United struggling I do see Villa struggling to contain a United side full of confidence right now, who have been playing quite well past couple games. But are they going to be good enough to take all 3 points? What we've also seen from Man United, even against the Wolves game, is that tendency that even when they're on top, they still give the opposition an advantage. They still give them chances, and they can't keep a lead. And I'm going to bank on them not keeping a lead yet again here. So I've gone for 2-2.
And two players who are going to be desperately missed from both teams. For Man United, Martinez, who obviously came back in, looked really good, and he's out for a prolonged amount of time. That's going to be a big miss at the back for Man United. And like you mentioned, I think Pau Torres for Aston Villa, who's been brilliant all season, he seems like the glue in that defence for them. And ever since he's been out, they've been so open at the back. So two big misses there for both teams. So I think goals are definitely in order at Villa Park this weekend. And then we'll finish off with a London derby at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace against Chelsea, which I think could be Roy Hodgson's last game in charge of Crystal Palace, and could be Roy Hodgson's last game in charge ever, to be honest, of any team, because I'm not sure if he's going to get another job after this. And Sim's gone for 3-0 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I think no Guehi, no Eze, no Olise, no points for Palace. I think it's pretty simple. Palace got absolutely battered in the last game away at Brighton.
Yeah.
The fans are just absolutely turned on Hodgson at this point. No one wants him still on the job. It's going to be a toxic atmosphere. Add into that Chelsea full of confidence after a really great win away from home against Aston Villa. They seem to be playing some really good football as well in that period. They've got players. If Palace are going to sit deep out with Palmer and Kunku, even Madueke, who had a great game on the weekend, they've got players to break them down, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to struggle just because Palace is sitting deep. And I'm looking at Palace, I'm like, yeah, they might try and hit Chelsea on the counter, but who's going to hurt them? Is it going to be Mateta, Schlupp, and Ayew? I mean, these are players which on a good day they might get a shot on target, let alone a goal.
Well, Mateta did destroy Man City at the Etihad, didn't he?
He did, but that was 1 in a million kind of thing. I don't think that's ever going to happen again. So I think Chelsea are going to run right here. I think it's going to be complete domination. I think they're going to have loads of chances, and I think they're going to win convincingly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I completely agree with what you're saying about the toxic atmosphere. You saw it creeping in that Brighton game. And what you usually know about Crystal Palace, they usually turn up against Brighton and give them a really tough game. And I think that was a sign of things to come when you see them getting completely battered by Brighton. The game was over after 25, 30 minutes. And a Chelsea side full of confidence after that win. And where have I seen that before? A manager getting saved by a free kick at Villa Park on the way to a Carabao Cup final after a really terrible first half of the season. Have you seen that one before?
Maybe once.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I do think Chelsea are going to grow this season in the second half of the season. Hopefully I'm wrong. But in this game alone, with all the key players for Crystal Palace out, they got no chance of winning this weekend. So I've gone for 2-0 to Chelsea. But let's move on to the star men. Sim's gone for Timo Werner.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game for him, in my opinion. A real open game where there should be a lot of space for him to operate in. A Brighton team who like to play with a high line and like to commit a lot of players forward and like to play with space. And with Maddison feeding Timo Werner, I can see him getting lots of chances, whether it be assist or chance on goal. I can really see him making an impact in this one. So I've gone for him.
Yeah, didn't fancy a James Maddison?
I've already picked him.
Oh, you've already picked him, have you? Fair enough. I've gone for Elijah Adebayo. As he mentioned earlier in the episode, you could see him getting a goal or two this weekend. I think he's really announced himself as a Premier League striker this season. He's been brilliant, to be honest. And I think he's had a really good season for Luton, and at home to Sheffield United, who seem to be getting battered week in, week out at the moment at Kenilworth Road. I can see Adebayo doing something for sure this weekend. So I've gone for Adebayo. Sim's gone for Timo Werner. Let me know your predictions and your style men in the comments section below, and let me know who you think is going to come out on top this weekend. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next